Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 481 narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, said, "A faithful believer to a faithful believer is like the bricks of a wall, enforcing each other." While saying that, the Prophet clasped his hands by interlacing his fingers. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 482 narrates Ibn Sirin, Abu Hurairah said, "Allah's Messenger led us in one of the two Isha prayers." Abu Hurairah named that prayer, but I forgot it. Abu Hurairah added, "He prayed 2 rakat and then finished the prayer with Tislim. He stood up near a piece of wood lying across the mosque and leaned on it in such a way as if he was angry. Then he put his right hand over the left and clasped his hands by interlacing his fingers, and then put his right cheek on the back of his left hand. The people who were in haste left the mosque through its gates. They wondered whether the prayer was reduced. And amongst them were Abu Bakr ibn Umar, but they hesitated to ask the Prophet. A long-handed man called Taliadain asked the Prophet, "O Allah's Messenger, have you forgotten or has the prayer been reduced?" The Prophet replied, "I have neither forgotten nor has the prayer been reduced." The Prophet added, "Is what Taliadain has said true?" They, the people, said, "Yes, it is true." The Prophet stood up again and led the prayer, completing the remaining prayer, forgotten by him, and performed Tislim, and then said, "Allahu Akbar." And then he did a prostration as he used to prostrate or longer than that. He then raised his head saying, "Allahu Akbar." He then again said, "Allahu Akbar," and prostrated as he used to prostrate or longer than that. Then he raised his head and said, "Allahu Akbar." The sub-narrator added, "I think that they asked Ibn Sirin whether the Prophet completed the prayer with Tislim. He replied, I heard that Imran bin Hussein had said, then he, the Prophet, did Tislim." Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 483 narrated Fudail bin Sulaiman, Musa bin Uqba said, "I saw Salim bin Abdullah looking for some places on the way and prayed there." He narrated that his father used to pray there, and had seen the Prophet praying at those very places. Narrated Nafi on the authority of Ibn Umar, who said, "I used to pray at those places." Musa the narrator added, "I asked Salim, on which he said, I agree with Nafi concerning those places, except the mosque situated at the place called Sharaf Arkansas." Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 484 The narrated hadith is about the various places on the way from Medina to Mecca where the Prophet prayed and is not translated. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 485 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 486 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 487 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 488 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 489 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 490 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 491 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 492 See translation for hadith 484 above. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 493 narrated Ibn Abbas, "Once I came riding a Shias when I had just attained the age of puberty. Allah's Messenger was offering the prayer at Mina with no wall in front of him, and I passed in front of some of the row. There I dismounted and let my Shias loose to graze and entered the row, and nobody objected to me about it." Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 494 narrated Ibn Umar, "Whenever Allah's Messenger came out on a day, he used to order that a harba, a short spear, to be planted in front of him as a sutra for his prayer, and then he used to pray facing it with the people behind him, and used to do the same while on a journey." After the Prophet, this practice was adopted by the Muslim rulers, who followed his traditions. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 495 narrated An bin Abi Haifa, "I heard my father saying, the Prophet led us, and prayed a 2 rakat Zuhr prayer, and then a 2 rakat Asr prayer at Al-Batha, with a short spear planted in front of him as a sutra, while women and donkeys were passing in front of him beyond that stick." Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 496 narrated Sahl bin Sa'id, "The distance between the Masala of Allah's Messenger and the wall was just sufficient for a sheep to pass through." Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 497 narrated Salama, "The distance between the wall of the mosque and the pulpit was hardly enough for a sheep to pass through." Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 498 narrated Abdullah, the Prophet, used to get a harba planted in front of him as his sutra and pray behind it. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 499 narrated An bin Abi Haifa, that he had heard his father saying, Allah's messenger came to us at midday and water was brought for his ablution. He performed ablution and led us in Zuhr and Asr prayers with a short spear or stick planted in front of him as his sutra, while women and donkeys were passing beyond it. Sahieh Eal-Bukhari 500 narrated Anas ibn Malik, whenever the Prophet went for answering the call of nature, I and another boy used to go after him with a staff, a stick or a short spear or stick, and a tumbler of water, and when he finished from answering the call of nature we would hand that tumbler of water to him.